yeah, it starts with her waking up and blurting out, "I'm gay," and it blows up her relationship with, the man she's been dating for a very long time, and then we see her start to navigate dating women. As she navigates dating women for the first time, you see this kind of, expansion of Leela's universe around it's not just about, "Am I dating women?" But it's, "What do I actually want to be doing with my life?"
Welcome to the True Fiction Project, a podcast series that explores the origins of fiction. Every week, we begin with an interview, nonfiction, followed by a creative piece, fiction, inspired by something from the interview. The idea is to demonstrate, of course, that fiction is born out of our life experiences. Now, here's your host, storyteller, author, public speaker, health and wellness expert, Reenita Hora.
Welcome back to the True Fiction Project. I am your host, Reenita Hora. And I have with me today a very special person. She is a writer, a comedian, a filmmaker. She is obsessed with telling stories about flawed, funny women because guess what? Perfect, as we know, is boring. Does this sound like me? This does sound like me. Or perhaps it sounds like me when, who I want to be when I grow up. This is Aneri Shah. She hosts the Eyebrow Queens, which is a salon-style podcast where guests blurt out their truths. And she is developing Not Quite, a comedy pilot about queer reinvention. And she has directed I'm Doing My Job, a wonderful feature documentary about women of color, ER physicians, set in the global pandemic. So, without further ado, let me welcome Aneri. Hi, Aneri. Welcome to the True Fiction Project.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
It is so great to have you on the show. And I'm particularly excited because I got to meet you the other day for the first time. And wow, got to peek into your world. And you're doing all of these fabulous, amazing things. Have you been doing them like since time immemorial? Whatever that means.
I definitely have always been a reader and a writer since I was 3 or 4 years old. I actually learned how to read through, when I was growing up, those books that had those cassettes that would play the book alongside the cassette. So that's how I learned how to read. And then I would read out loud to imaginary audiences when I was young. But as a career, because I'm South Asian, I was obviously pre-med in college.
Obviously.
Obviously. And then dropped out of grad school and had like a total mental breakdown when I was 22. I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor. And I got a job as a copywriter at this company called Bonobos in New York. And from that, I went into the kind of e-commerce tech world for a while. And then I worked at Shutterstock for a little while. And then that led to me running a startup for many years. And I came back to the film, TV, writing and storytelling world about 5 years ago when I started the documentary. And I think this is where I was always meant to be. And I think the other things I've done in my life will help my stories.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And what amazing success to go from, one piece to the next, in rapid succession by the sounds of it.
Yeah, kind of. It was like maybe this is the, I don't know. I like novelty and people. So yes.
You arrived. So you were working for Bonobos as a copywriter, you said, and
Long
then
time ago. Yeah.
okay, and that's what got you started or led to your making the documentary. Is that right?
No, when I started the documentary, actually, which by the way, I didn't think it was going to be a documentary when I started. I was living in New York and I was running a video advertising agency at the time, helping brands make short form video ads. So I did have access to a pretty large network of video editors and creators that were part of our network. And my cousin was working on the front lines in New York, in Brooklyn actually, as an ER physician. And she was 2 days back from maternity leave when the lockdown started. I think it was March 12th, 2020. And one morning on the way to work, I think it was 6 a.m, she called me on the way to work and she had pulled over on the Brooklyn Bridge and she was having a panic attack. And she told me, my boss just emailed me and told me that I have to make a will and get my affairs in order in case something happens to me and my husband. And she said to me, will you take my son if something happens to both of us?
Yeah, it's really touching. I did watch the documentary. I saw the very touching scenes of her son, her husband. You interviewed her parents. I can see it from her point of view, just how scary that must be. I think he was 5 months old or something at the time. Oh my gosh. And then
He
the
just turned
parents,
6.
oh my God.
That's crazy. I just FaceTimed him and he just turned 6. Hi, Jaden.
Yes, Jaden, exactly. Amazing, amazing. And then you moved out to California. And is that when you started Eyebrow Queens?
Yeah, so God, my journey has been winding. I moved out here and I was still running my agency. I still
Yeah.
did not think of myself as an artist. Basic mentality. I was like, I have to do something that makes money and feeds into capitalism. But I moved out here, and I think something really special happens sometimes when you move to LA, which is that you meet other artists and you realize you're one of them. You're like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I want
Mm-hmm.
to tell stories." And so
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started writing Not Quite, my pilot. And then the writer's strike happened, right? Just as I started pitching this pilot I wrote about my own life in New York, the strike happened. And the reason I started Eyebrow Queens, I actually just wanted to keep collaborating with people. And I moved here, and even though there was a strike going on, I was still meeting so many different types of people. And so actually originally Eyebrow Queens just started out of me wanting to interview people. And so I shot the first few episodes just in my apartment. I would invite people over, we would sit on my couch and we would just like bullshit. We talk about whatever. And but I was really good at it and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. And so
Good at the
over
bullshit.
time, right, I love bullshit. So and I liked how I could get things out. I Not Quite is about my own life and my own queer reinvention. And
Mm-hmm.
so ultimately with the podcast, I just really enjoy talking to nonconformist South Asian people about how they're living their life and how they're connecting to people and what they're doing. And I love queer women who are brown. And so it became an extension of my pilot. And I realized that as I
Hmm.
started pitching my pilot, that the podcast became an interesting tool for people to be
Yes.
able to find my voice.
So this is very interesting. Why eyebrows?
You know, like I
Because
I
we are a
honestly,
threading people. I mean,
it was not the most logical decision. I just after 4 or 5 episodes, I hadn't even named it when I started recording. I was just recording using my phone in my apartment and a
mm,
tripod.
mm.
And with Mohammed, my sound guy. Hi Mohammed, shout out to Mohammed. I was sitting in a bar one night and I was like, I know the name, it's Eyebrow Queens. And my friend said, why? I'm like, because the eyes are windows to our soul, but the eyebrows are a window to our chaos.
I
And
love that.
I was like, even if someone says they're happy, sad, whatever, their eyes are saying one thing, eyebrows don't lie. And there was something so funny and weird about the name Eyebrow Queens. And I just liked that one, everybody has eyebrows, and two, I think they really are a mode of self expression. And then I started asking guests in every episode, tell me your emotional relationship to your eyebrows. And I loved how people would answer that. It was so weird. So I
That
just liked it. Mhm.
is truly amazing. One of my earliest memories in life is when I was a young child, my mother watching her thread her eyebrows. She would have one end of the thread like tied to a mirror or something, and then she would be doing I was like, that looks like a skill I need to learn, which I did over the years and used and then have stopped using. But it's ironic that you mention it because my nephew is starting a razor blade brand. This is, our historic sort of family business, and it's sort of died at this point, but he's sort of reinventing it. And he just told me the other day, I'm going to trademark your name, by the way. I'm just letting you know because I want to name the eyebrow razor after you. And I was like, okay, that's very specific. Is it because I have good eyebrows, or
You do have good eyebrows.
for an aging woman, not bad? Yeah, I will give you that. Thank
We're
you.
all aging, Reenita.
You're right about that. My gosh, so I love the fact that literally it's one thing has led to another, and it is the podcast that has led to your pilot, Not Quite.
Yep.
So tell us about Not Quite. Not Quite what? I know it's your queer reinvention, but
That's a great question. Title that was kind of born out of the earth. The show
Mm,
used to be called Lonely Girl,
mhm.
but then I just over time realized it's not about loneliness. It's actually about the shedding of labels. Like we are not quite anything. We're not quite gay. We're not quite South Asian. And what I mean by that is for me, I realized I was bisexual, queer, whatever, in my early 30s. And it was a crazy moment. It wasn't just about me realizing I also like to date women. That was one part of it.
Mhm.
It also made me look back at my life and think, what assumptions have I made about myself or what labels have I assigned to myself that maybe just don't apply anymore? And it's made me much more open to this idea that we can throw out the script and start over at any time we want. And that doesn't mean we're faking it. It
Yeah.
just means we're allowing ourselves to embody who we actually are. So, like, not quite as this just whimsical way of kind of pointing out we're not ever quite anything. We're just, and I think in South Asian culture, we often, especially South Asian American culture, we are looking for answers. We want definition, we want
Mm.
success. And I think there's something really fun about a South Asian woman creator being like, there's actually success in admitting that we don't know anything.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
absolutely. And, I really love that you have said that, Aneri, because I think women in general, South Asian women in particular, we have this mask that we must wear. We must look to the world like we have it all together, right? Even if we don't, even we're crumbling inside or we're desperately nervous or desperately fearful, which is a lot of the time,
Yep.
speaking on behalf of everyone without asking their permission. But it's never okay to say, I don't feel good or, it's not going well.
Yeah. Look, in my life as an entrepreneur, I always kept it together on the outside.
Yeah.
As an artist, especially an artist that makes content about herself,
Yes.
I don't have that luxury anymore because if I feel something, I have to feel it. And that's been a tremendous strength, but also it's challenging. It's not easy to figure out how to manage actually feeling emotion after a lifetime of saying I don't have any and thinking strength is
Hmm.
not feeling emotion. Strength is actually feeling emotion,
Feeling the
right?
emotion.
So
Exactly.
yeah, and I think, not quite the inciting incident is all about, me waking up from my egg freezing and blurting out, I'm gay to my doctor, which happened in real life. But ultimately, it's really about how does a South Asian woman in her 30s navigate life without the script? And how do all the mini traumas that happened in her life, because it's not just one, right? It's
Yeah.
all of them. How do those inform the decisions she makes as she actually self-actualizes? And where's the comedy in that? I think that's really fun, right? Kind of like a Fleabag meets Broad City, but through a South Asian woman's lens is very fun.
Amazing, amazing. And I resonate with this so much because my daughter, who is not quite 30 yet, but 27, so well on her way, is a complete fish out of the water in India, where she
Right.
has just moved to. So it sounds like she's from your show.
It
But
does. I think she'll be, I mean, she's not quite 30, right? I think there is something about probably like what she thought it would be and then what it's actually going to be and then
mm,
your perspective on what it's going to be for her. I think there's so much humor in your
yeah,
daughter reverse immigrating to
exactly.
back to Mumbai.
Not quite Indian. But tell us about the show. You are the protagonist, or the protagonist, I should say, is based upon
She's
you,
based off of me.
based
Yes.
off of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us more.
Yeah, so her name is Leela right now, although I have toyed with the idea of what if I just changed her name to Aneri, right? Like
Oh,
Issa Rae or Mindy
mhm.
Kaling. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it starts with her waking up and blurting out, I'm gay, and it blows up her relationship with the man she's been dating for a very long time. And then we see her start to navigate dating women and then also navigate what happens when I always thought my life was going to be marry a man, have two kids, make my parents proud, live this life. And in her life, she's a comedian and storyteller.
Mm. Oh,
But
perfect.
as she navigates dating women for the first time, you see this kind of expansion of Leela's universe around it's not just about am I dating women, but it's what do I actually want to be doing with my life? Like, do I want kids with a man? Do I want kids with a woman? Do I want to be a single mom? What is it that I want? And she starts to express these things. And then meanwhile, her best friend, Asma, who she's known, they're both from Detroit, Michigan, where
Hmm.
I grew up, and where there's a really large South Asian population and a really big Muslim population.
Mm.
So I show how, her best friend Asma is married to Amr, who is her very handsome doctor husband. And they have this kind of perfect marriage on the outside. But on the inside, there's, kind of all the different problems we see in a typical marriage where, oh, my husband's not emotionally available. And
Mm.
that sometimes makes me sad, but that's just how men are. That's just how men are.
Right.
I show how their friendship changes and evolves as Leela starts to come into her own because I think one of the core themes of the show is also about South Asian women's sisterhood and friendship. And
Absolutely.
I really wanted to explore how their friendship evolves as Leela stops performing and Asma continues to perform. So I think that's going to be a really fun part of the show because I myself have experienced that in many different forms with my own South
Mm.
Asian community. And I think that theme more universally applies to women's friendships at large. I think that we have historically been told who we should be. And in this era, so many women are waking up and saying, but who am I really? And
Mm.
so I think that part of the show I'm so excited to explore. And all the different fights that happen, like the Jagrada, right?
Yeah, the Jhagra, exactly. So, you know what's particularly exciting about this for South Asians and for America is that we've really seen this evolution of the South Asian on screen.
Yes.
When I came to this country years ago, at this point, days before the dinosaurs is what it seems like, there was no one. There was like, you'd be lucky if you got sort of a background role in something. Then there was like the era of Mindy Kaling, which in and of itself just changed everything from, being a supporting character in The
Thank
Office
you,
to,
Mindy.
yeah, exactly. Thank you, big time. See where, not just she has come today, but where she has brought the community of South Asian creatives. Really, I think we owe it to
Yes.
her,
She opened the heaviest door and
Yeah.
she's like, please walk through it. Please.
Exactly. And it's others. It's not just her, but she's always my front and center example. So,
Mhm.
and we have seen South Asians sort of get out of their comfort zone, if you will, and explore things. We've seen it on her shows, other shows, but we haven't seen, correct me if I'm wrong, a full blown queer South Asian woman, have we?
Can you think about it? Can you think of one?
No?
It's so funny you say that because literally the other day I was telling a friend, I'm like, I just watched the show Hunting Wives,
Yeah.
which is super hot, by the way. If you are not gay, you will watch the show and you'll be gay afterwards.
Okay.
But
No,
it
gotta
is
try.
about these women in the South that and a lot of it they're like hooking up with each other and they're all very like beautiful. And I was telling someone, I'm like, oh my God, it so funny. I'm going on a date with a woman this week and we actually talked about Hunting Wives as like whatever. It was a whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
he made some comment like, oh, but they're women in the South. Like, how could you relate to that?
Right.
And I told him, I'm like, first of all, if I could only relate to people that looked like me, who would be my example? Devi and Never Have I Ever? Who is there? Right? But yeah, it made me really reflect on, even though everybody thinks like, oh, we've come so far in queer representation. I'm like, can you think of one queer South Asian show? And maybe with men, we do have some, right? We have A Nice Indian Boy, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
right. It's just
We don't have as many with South Asian women. And I think in particular, it's because as South Asian women, even though we're the birthplace of the Kama Sutra, in America, I think we still feel like we're not supposed to own our own sexuality. And
mm.
so that feels very scary to be doing on screen.
Yeah, yeah. And I would argue that even in India, I don't know how many of us women, queer or heterosexual, actually own our sexuality, as you say, because there's always
Right.
these constraints and boundaries and, that mask I must wear every day. And this is definitely part of
And
that,
we're
I think.
taught to serve men. So even beyond sexuality, if you decide that you are only dating women or you want to date women, the added difficulty becomes then what do men mean in my life? And how
Exactly.
do I navigate that restructuring of the narrative? And I think that will be really fun to explore and not quite, I think.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, what I love about this show is you're taking so many of those known experiences, tropes, scenarios, and just, I can see you turning them on their heads.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
live
think
for that.
there's something about, I think, I don't want to say I don't care about representation. I care a
Hmm.
lot, but I think that maybe my superpower is feeling my emotions. And I think in that, the content I make is always going to be resonant in some way.
Hmm.
And I think my thing that I can do for our community is that. And like, it's not just about putting a South Asian woman on the screen. It's like, can you feel her? Can you
Right.
feel her feelings? Can you feel her emotionality? And I think even in the documentary, you can kind of feel that.
Yeah,
Women.
absolutely. So representation, the South Asian
The
woman, the
emotional
South Asian
representation.
emotional representation, the South Asian queer woman, transgression from pre-med to queer comedian. I mean, and all the steps
It happens
along the way.
gradually, and all of a sudden one day you're like, "What happened?"
Exactly.
Yeah,
And then next thing you say is, well, it's about time
yeah,
that it
yeah,
happened.
that's true. It's about time. It's about time we walked the path. And, you look at, one question I get asked a lot, I'm curious, is like, I don't put a lot of parents in my work,
Mm-hmm.
and I get this all the time, like, "How come you don't have a scene with her parents?" And I'm like, "Okay, you watched Sex and the City. Do you ever meet any of their parents?" And I'm like, I think there's something powerful about a South Asian woman's experience not being through just the lens of her parents. Like, I'm not opposed to having parents in there, but I want to establish them as adult women first.
Absolutely. I could not support that more. Yes, I think we all need to get away from our parents. That's the one thing that haunts us and the community, I think, and will until doomsday if we don't change it.
I
So,
know.
okay, so I am very excited about watching the trailer to your show. That's what we're going to do in the story section, in the fiction section. But before we segue to that, Aneri, tell us where we can find you, your socials, or where how to follow you.
Okay. So my Instagram is Queen Aneri, Queen spelled Kween, and Aneri spelled Aneri. So that's where you can kind of find that's my personal Instagram and my personal TikTok. And then also follow my podcast. It's Eyebrow Queens. So eyebrow, you know how to spell, and then Queen spelled Kweenz. We are on Instagram and TikTok, and then also Spotify, Apple. But if you follow our Instagram, I would love to know what you think of our content. And also, if you want to be a guest, just my DMs are open. Always feel free to reach out to me. But that is where you can find me online.
And now to the premise of the True Fiction Project, which of course is to create fiction out of nonfiction.
We got 14 eggs.
I'm gay.
Your boyfriend? He's live tweeting the whole thing. It's going viral.
Babe, over here.
Okay, so for those of you who were listening last week, you know that I'm kind of gay now. I finally feel like myself, but I'm realizing that I kind of suck. All of a sudden, I went from knowing exactly what I wanted to knowing literally nothing. I don't like being single at this age. I feel old. Whenever my mustache starts growing in, I feel like I have to come in.
You've come a lot more then.
Really?
I think so. You're very hairy.
I feel inexperienced. I don't feel equipped to date women. Oh my God, Asma. I went on the most amazing date. We were kissing and I started fingering her. And she called me the next morning and she told me that what I was doing was hurting her. And literally, Asma, I'm like, what? Am I like the Me Too now? And honestly, the more painful thing than my breakup has been dealing with not having my best friend there. Like, I don't feel like she's happy for me. I was thinking of opening up my dating apps to women.
I mean, that feels drastic, no?
Like, this is a thing. It's like, it kind of highlights the things that might be wrong in her marriage. My friends are on baby number 2.
On my computer.
And I'm this like weird geriatric millennial. I haven't had to be alone in 4 years. Haven't showered in 3 days. I don't remember how to make coffee. I haven't had to kill a spider. I think that was like worth pretending to be straight for. I don't want to be single. I don't really want to be gay. I'm sorry I didn't tell you.
It's okay. It's big changes, Leela. Huge.
That really what you're wearing?
Giving drug addict.
Why does every hot brown girl end up with the most mid-white man?
I do love that this is every night for us, forever.
We just want you to be happy.
Doesn't seem like it.
What are you looking for?
More fun, more consideration, more love.
Is he like fully gay now? This is so cool.
Loved having you on the show. Thank you for joining us today on the True Fiction Project. This is Aneri Shah. She is a writer, a comedian, a filmmaker, and a very unique human being.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad we met.
Likewise. Thank you. This is the True Fiction Project, and I am your host, Reenita Hora.
Thank you for listening to the True Fiction Project with Reenita Hora. Be sure to subscribe to the newsletter to receive more inspiring stories showing how fiction is born from our everyday experiences. For more information, visit www.truefictionproject.com.